everybody, this is Dr. Timothy Elizondo. We are here for the 5th installment of my attempt to write an informative speech in 15 minutes a day. Bip. All right, so I got my timer started. Let's see, where am I at? All right, so I hope you know that I do cheat on it. I don't know if it's cheating, I'm just saying that I do work on the speech when, I guess what I'm trying to say is I do work on the speech when I'm not in front of the screen. So let me just kind of screen share and show you kind of where I'm at right now. So I've been working on my introduction. I wanted to flesh it out. I really wanted to just kind of like capture the tone. So I've got this thing where I'm kind of drawing down on this celebrity game. And then I'm like, oh, what is this game? So that's what I have. So I have this attention getter. And let me just see how long it is. I want to time it out. Because from a theory perspective, an introduction is supposed to be about 10% of the length of your speech, right? Same with your conclusion. Does that make sense? So 10% for the intro, 10% for the conclusion, and then the body is going to be about 80%. So if I'm writing a 5-minute speech, which I think I want to write, right? I think that's what I want my informative to try to be, because that's going to give me a minute of kind of room for error on either side. So I think that means my entire introduction has to be, I'm striving for what, 10% of 5 minutes, so 30 seconds. And I don't know if I'd mind if it's a little bit longer. So we'll see. All right, I'm gonna start when my clock says 3:20, just so I know. The July 29th, 2016 issue of The Hollywood Reporter picks up in mid-action as our heroes find themselves in a violent struggle deep beneath a haunted cavern. As the sword of a goblin swings in the air, comedian Patton Oswalt shouts, "Boo's hammer will draw his mighty war axe of smithing and swing down upon the Goblin King." Patton rolls a handful of dice as engaged onlookers Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Kimmel look on. Is this some twisted mix and match grab bag of Hollywood A-lister types, a backdrop of a new film? No, it's a real-life game of Dungeons and Dragons, a craze that is sweeping the country. And as a proud member of the Nerd Army, I'm happy to see the game move from popular culture to academia. All right, so that's about 50 seconds. That is way too long. I like it though. I like that. I'm gonna get rid of this. So I gotta get rid of all the A-lister stuff. Can't have it. Bye, A-listers. Begins mid-action. Begins mid-action. Okay, so it's not here. It begins mid-action as the sword of a goblin swings in the air. Okay. And I got what's going on? I don't know, something like that. But that's the general gist. I've got my thesis, and then I also added to my established credibility content. So I just kind of filled in some of the questions from last time. So now I have a sentence that says, I've been a devoted admirer of the game for over 30 years, and through my experience as a dungeon wanderer and dragon slayer, I've come to find that the game is a very useful tool as a professor of communication and philosophy courses. I'm just going to go with that. All right, so that's within useful tool. I don't need to say professor. Useful tool in communications. Sure. Is a dungeon wanderer? That's too lengthy. Sorry. I know. I try to be wordy. I like language. I like words. As a dungeon wanderer, there became a professor. Sure. All right, and then motivate audience, I've developed that. So now I have Dungeons and Dragons as a game that can develop a wide range of student-related intellectual and social skills. So I think that's all I'm going to keep. And I'm going to get rid of all this other stuff. All right, so now I've got this first point, and I think I want to just add my transitions. I think I just want to kind of put those in there because people have been asking about transitions. So generally speaking, transitions kind of exist in this weird space where they're not really part of the outline. To me, they're kind of off to the side. And a transition exists between 2 points. where, and a transition's got 3 parts. It's going to have a review of previous point. It's going to have a link or a linking sentence. And I need to have an introduction of the next point. Right, building upon this the signposting strategy, and also utilizing this technique where once we're done with the point, we actually say to the audience, all right, audience, I just got done with this. Right. And then we're going to have a linking sentence and another sentence that says, all right, I'm going here. So we start seeing this structure where after so if you think about the introduction, we've got attention getter, thesis, establish credibility, motivate audience, preview points, right? And then the speaker's like, hey, all right, in order to understand the thesis, let's talk about A. And they talk about A. And they have a sense like, all right, we just got done talking about A. But you might be wondering, well, okay, I understand A, but how do I actually utilize A in the real world? And that's a great question. And that brings me to B. And I talk about B. And the end of the sentence says, all right, audience, I just got done talking about B. But there's actually a final piece of this puzzle in order to bring it fully into light. And that's going to bring me to C. When we talk about C. All right, and then we're done with that. In the 3-point speech, it would be, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I just got done talking about A, B, and C. That's the review. And now hopefully you understand why thesis is true. It's restatement of thesis. So remember that story that I told you about 5 minutes ago? Right, now we're in the creative clincher, using a story to tie back to our original story. All right, so back to the transition though. So I need to review the previous point. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna copy my point and I'm gonna put that right there. And that again, it's just kind of off in space. I'm gonna bold it. Boom. My first point examined. All right, I'm going to introduce the second point here. So I'm going to copy that, put that right there because I'm introducing that. Linking sentence, okay. So it's not a linking sentence. Introduction to the next point. That's what it is. Put that there. Hold that. And now I need a linking sentence. So, so when I'm done with my first point, it looks like I'm going to say, my first point just examined the ways players and the dungeon master utilize various communication principles. I'm going to take theories out. Now I'm going to take in order as well. Principles. And I think here in the link, or maybe in this review, I want to change the language a little bit just in case somebody's paying attention to see if I'm doing this particular trick. All right. Instead of examined, discussed. How players and the dungeon master. Actually, I don't know if I need players and the dungeon. How participants. Instead of utilize, how about just use? Various, how about just different? Instead of imaginary. Communication-based experience. All right, now I need a linking sentence. So I need a sentence that somehow, gets me from A to B. And I usually think of these as, in a sense, a link is just, it's the articulation of a logical relationship that you already see. You know, like for example, I don't know, it's like this and that, right? I mean, in a sense, it could be a topical organizational pattern. It's hard for like, hey, here's a lid versus here's a cup. But if I kind of think about how I could talk about these, I think it's kind of cause and effect relationship. For my first point, it would be, in a sense, here's this particular substance in this, this object. And there's a concern. In order for me to alleviate the concern, woo. All right, so if this was my first point, and I said, I just got done talking about this, I think the linking sentence would try to be some sort of articulation of cause and effect. All right, so with that in mind, I don't have cause and effect going on here. I've got kind of like example to example. So I think the linking sentence is its philosophy Well, social relationships. No, it's not social relationship. Communication competency is I'm going to say a wild critical competency. Well, communication competency is a critical tool for student success. Critical thinking is also a necessary skill for to achieve one's goals. How about that? Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that there. Oh, I'm gonna put that there. And I'm going to bold this so I can see it. And I like that. So because I also have this introduction to my next point, which is the lead into my second point, why don't I just do this exact same thing here? This is kind of risky between my 2 points. Let's see what happens if I do that. I just want the framework, right? This is gone, right? Because I can't review, I'm not going to review the first point after my second point, but I might, since I used the language of my preview for my second point, why don't I just okay, so now I'm just going to, second point, illuminate it. Yep, and that goes away. My linking sentence goes away. My introduction to my next point, where's that? I'm going to pull that from the language of my preview, which is right there. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that right there. Yeah, I want to do that. Okay. We'll investigate. What is that? Investigate. The manner. The ways. Ways the game mechanics. The setting. No, actually, it could be setting. Oh, I want to keep both? Okay, all right, Sean, just now you're navigate the game. Now I think I'm actually kind of concerned with word economy. It seems like I'm being a little bit verbose. All right, so in all of this, get that out of my outline. Okay. All right, so I've got my review of points, I've got my conclusion, I've got my reinstate thesis. All right, so maybe I need to start thinking about my creative conclusion. All right, so I think with a creative conclusion, there's a couple of things we want to keep in mind. It's either going to be what's called descending or ascending. I say this because I think sometimes, students don't think about, the ability that a creative conclusion has to really kind of like do the final psychological move. Because when we think about the research indicates that audiences oftentimes like latch on to the last thing they hear. The creative conclusion is our last opportunity to kind of do this magic trick where we move the audience a little bit psychologically. Right? And according to theory, there's two directions we can move them. We can move them up, which is called ascending, or we can move them down, which is called descending. Right? Ascending is going to be something where we are trying to get the audience to like move their body up, like their hands up, their mouth up, their eyebrows up, their shoulders up, their body up, right? All right, so they say something. I remember hearing a speech where at the end of the speech was about the healing power of laughter. And at the end of the speech, the student says, and so-and-so once said, I forget what it was, so-and-so once said that money is what makes the world go round. And perhaps so. But laughter is what keeps it tumbling. And everyone went, oh. Right, in the sense their shoulders went up, their hands went up. The other one is used, descending's used more in persuasive speaking, designed to kind of get things to go down. Oh, right? They were like a drunk driving speech in high school. I remember all those speeches were always like, and so-and-so's, you know, passed away. And it was just, you know, grim stuff. And at the end, it's just like, yeah. All right. So with my creative conclusion, I kind of decide which direction I'm going to go. And I think I'm going to use my old trick where I'm just going to like go back to the story that I start with. So I'm going to go with ascending. And it's going to say, I think it's going to be like later in the night. Character, what's his name? Drunken Hammer, Hammer something. Booze Hammer. Top riches and gold while the players are smart. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of that's the theme that I want to try to get to. I think I'm just going to kind of ponder this kind of before the next installment, see where I want to go. All right, so it looks like I've got my transitions coming in. I've developed the intro. Structure's looking good. Third point's looking a little, get players to attach their characters, language lore. What are some examples of this? Well, I'm just thinking about it. Elvish. Actually, we're going to use Goblin. Previous example, right? So there are languages in the game. Languages are basis of puzzles, clues, hints, traps, etc. All right. Oh. All right. Oof. Jeez, sweating. All right, well, I hope that helps. That is number 5. Let's just go back to this outline again, just to show you what I'm looking at. Got my introduction, my attention getter, my thesis, establish credibility, motivate audience, preview points. I got my first point here. I got my tagline. Oh, why don't I just bold this too so people can see it? I've got the subpoints, the sub points. I still need to find a way to paraphrase this. Got my first point, got my transitions coming in. I got my second point right there, or that's the tagline. That's the content is here. Got my second transition right there. I'm missing a linking sentence. Got to figure that out. Got my third point here. Got my conclusion. Got my review of the points going on right there. I've got my restatement of the thesis goes there, and I'm still working on creative conclusion. Okay. Got to figure out how to write the speech and end it. Okay. All right, well, I hope that helps, and I'll see you next time for round 6. Yep.